Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Aquarian Anarchy. Marcus is not with us tonight, but he put this little meme out earlier today or yesterday, and it was perfectly fitting because this is kind of where I am right now, and I think Nico maybe too.
Yeah.
This is from Rumi. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. And welcome everyone. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday evening, and we thank y'all for joining us. Nico, how you been,
Yes.
man? I know you've been through it a little bit here the last few days.
Yeah, I've had a tough week, if you will. But nevertheless, I'm alive. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
for those who don't know, because pretty much nobody knows but my family, I got into a car accident Wednesday. It was all my fault. Don't drive while you're sleepy,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're going from work to work or anything like that. It was a bad accident on my end because I broke the dope in my car, so it's no more in service. Uh, the people who are in front of me are good from what I was able to conclude. But I'm in a little bit of a pickle, but we're all big boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just move forward in life. And I'm grateful that there's no serious injuries amongst anybody. My back kind of hurt, but, nothing a little stretching can't do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How you been living?
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, I feel you. Like that's my life is driving and driving. To and from work, and sometimes it's weird hours. And it's long drives too. So I'm constantly fighting that battle with staying alert, staying awake, and not getting myself into trouble like that. And it's definitely nothing to take lightly because it's you,
Yeah,
you
no,
go
these days
going 60, 70 miles an hour, or depending, even if you're going 30 or 40. I mean, it's
it was
still,
like 30 something, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
my airbags didn't deploy, so that means that like I didn't, you know, hit
yeah.
myself. The reason why I like easily zoned out was because it was stop and go traffic, so I'm just rockabyeing myself to
Mm,
sleep, and I'm like,
mm-hmm,
goodness gracious. Like earlier that week, like I was like slumped behind the wheel. I started waking up earlier than what I usually would do. So I started waking up at 3, like 3:10, 3:20 on the dot because shameless plug out here. I'm working on my tarot videos and
yeah.
dropping.
I popped in on a couple of them
Yeah,
earlier today, so
yeah. So I'm
I
been
saw
working
you.
on my tarot stuff, and then I'm just like I wasn't acclimated to it. So doing that and then going out doing heavy lifting on top of
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm out here in the city, as you guys can see. Like this is not my usual background. I wish, but
It looked like you got a green screen with like the cityscape behind you, but it's for
yeah,
real.
yeah. Hold on, wait,
like
wait, wait,
like
wait. Let me
one of those TV channels or whatever where they got the bullshit, for the
wait.
news. They got the fake cityscape in the background. Uh
Alexa,
oh,
lights
look at
on.
the
Yeah,
look
feel
at
me?
you.
Yeah, my cousin is he's got money. He's got money for sure. So it's like
Great.
I'm
Now
not
Alexa's
even
listening to our podcast.
man. Yeah, I wish it was a green screen. This would have made me feel a lot better because
Who's talking in the background?
hold on, wait, why is Alexa look,
Alexa's a
if I say
dude
something
now.
look, I think my cousin got sick and tired of women. Shut up, bro. Alexa, stop. Goodness gracious. Yeah. No, see, my cousin, he makes a pretty penny. And so, like, he lives on the 39th floor of a condo in Chicago. And let me
Mm,
tell you, it cost like 4 bands to live out here.
damn.
And I'm
Mm,
like, I'm going to enjoy the view as much as possible because
I
when I go
bet.
back to my mundane four corner bedroom, Jesus, I'm going to wish I had this view. But nonetheless, like, um, also like with getting up, I walked his dog, but I played myself, so I haven't worked out in almost like 2 months. And
Mm,
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna run with this dog. And so like I decided to exert energy before I even had anything in my stomach or anything like that.
mm,
And I ran with her at 3 and then come back, went to work. Actually, I was doing a lot of heavy lifting because I
mm-hmm.
was pulling metal, and I was taking metal out of the elevator shaft that they were cutting. So I'd have to take it out, cool it down, and then like throw it to the side. They weren't light pieces. Nah, it was
No.
like a full body
You wore
workout.
yourself out. Yeah, you wore yourself
Exhausting.
out, and then
Exhausting.
you're probably driving home while the sun's setting. You're driving into the west, the sun's
Actually,
setting in your eyes.
it's beautiful
Start,
because we start so early that we get out around like two something. But the thing
so it
is
was
that
pretty early then. Okay.
traffic gets thick around that time. So it's
Mm-hmm.
usually a 30-minute drive that taxes on a whole nother hour with all the other individuals driving. So it wasn't too fun. But speaking of my shameless plug, I did an Aquarius video for you guys. So I'm gonna send one. I'm gonna send it to you. Um, I'm fairly sure it was good. I think you guys need to stop being stuck in your mental. That was something that was like really pointing out. So, um, but nonetheless, it's a it's a very peculiar time
Yeah.
because all the shit that's been going on and around. I at least on that day I did get into the accident. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here depressed inside a house. And my cousin had a extra ticket to go see Spider Man, so I most definitely went to go see that
Mm.
and enjoy the rest of my night. Um, but oh, and then another thing, boy oh boy. So I'm not working until like after the new year because the building that we're at, the GM is a peculiar and funny guy, and my supervisors were sick and tired of the funny guy, so they're like, you know what, we're just gonna wait until after because miss you too, Marcus. Love you, brother.
Yeah. Word.
But yeah, so now I'm just gonna be like full force pushing my brand um, and making a name for myself and hopefully starting on my YouTube channel. I just have to figure out how I'm going to get it done with iPhone 6 SE camera. So we'll figure out how that goes. But I'm working on a few
We can work
projects.
on it. Yeah, we can work
Yeah,
on it.
I'm working on a
Figure out
few
a way to do it.
projects. Yeah. What's
You
the
can't
word?
go live without. You got to do StreamYard to go live from your phone because you got to have
Ah,
you got to meet like the certain what you call it. Marcus is on the road. Marcus is traveling. He's got family stuff for Christmas and everything. So shout out to Marcus. Much love, much love.
yeah.
But
It's not the same. We need our jolly
Voodoo Santa
Santa
Claus
Claus.
will have to
We're
come
Voodoo
back after
Santa
he's
Claus.
done dropping off the gifts. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But he's being Santa Claus and dropping off gifts.
That's
So
right. That's right.
it's
You know,
like,
Marcus
can you
spreading the
get mad at
love.
it? What's good with
Shout out to
everybody in
Amber
the chat?
too.
How y'all feeling?
Voodoo Mrs. Claus. Shout out to Amber.
Wait, they
But
got elves, but they're named
what's
River
up,
and stuff
Anya?
like that.
Yeah, that's
River,
right.
Raven.
Anya's the voodoo elf too. Yeah, she's their little elf. So yeah, Jonesy said he is Santa Claus. I knew it. That's right.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Oh shit. But all right. So what I kind of envisioned before you told me right before we came on here that you had gotten in a wreck. What I kind of envisioned for this was like an opportunity for me and you to just kind of go back to that first phone conversation that we had. That's kind of why you're
How
here in
this?
the first
Yeah,
place,
no,
right?
no, yeah.
Like it was just me and you chopping it up. We talked probably for 3 hours that day
It
on the
was.
phone,
It
and
was.
so like
We covered so many topics though. Like
yeah, I
we
know, right?
jumped around. First, you were like, "Okay, well, elaborate upon yourself, young lad," and I was like, "Well, I'm a individual who just wants for growth," and you're like, "Hey, me too." And so,
That's right. That's right.
um,
That's how it
after
starts.
yeah, nah. You once you're in resonance and you're able to interlock on the frequency of another individual and see where they want to take their I don't know expansion, their growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's always a beautiful time to be able to talk to other individuals who are on the same mindset but on different fronts fighting different battles and then sooner or later you intertwine you guys' ideas or thought processes, brainstorm, and you make it fucking thunder in this bitch. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and that was like a month. That phone call was like a month after I had done, or maybe a little longer than that. But it was roughly a month after we had done the Zoom call where
yeah,
we were supposed to have Hotep Nation weekend in DC last May, and it got canceled because of the thing.
Coco, because of
Yeah.
Coco.
And and so I was like, all right, listen, we're gonna have this is gonna be called Hotep Consolation Weekend. We're gonna
Yeah,
just
actually,
it's
I
the
remember.
consolation prize is gonna be we're all gonna get get on a Zoom call and actually like
Oh,
get to
actually,
know
I
each
do
other and
remember
spend
that
time.
because
Yeah.
I was I was
You just
coming
like
down off
popped
of
in, but
this.
you were
I was
with
yeah,
your homies or your cousins or
I
something
was with
like
my
that.
cousin, but the thing was
Yeah.
is that I was coming down off of a psychedelic trip, and
Yeah.
it
Was
was
that the time that y'all like were hive
no, no,
minded?
no,
Or no,
no.
that was a
That
different time. Okay,
was
okay.
my very that was my second trip, and that was with a former homie of mine and my brother. And
Mm.
it was. Would you like me to elaborate upon the story? Because like,
I mean, hey, go ahead.
uh,
I was just I just thought
I
maybe
mean,
we may have tapped into that energy that night when you came on, because I remember you came on. You're like, my bad, y'all. I'm
look,
coming down
I
off.
was like really, really. The thing is with that was is I did a lot of pondering on
Mm,
how things really function and really work, and it just shows that like everything is a mechanism that is just a part of a bigger cycle. uh, I've concluded back then that we basically live in a simulation and we are the most advanced form of robots that could
mm,
be. If
mm-hmm,
you take in consideration that our brains are big squishy things and they run off of electricity.
mm-hmm,
We run off of electricity. We have cycles that run in our body, and we connect and upload to an invisible thing. What other things do that besides technology? you know?
mm-hmm,
And so um, then I've recognized that, like, we as a human civilization are basically doomed to repeat everything that we've done because us as humans still have yet to really quantify and truly understand what emotions are, but we're implementing them into AI technology, which is so ass backwards. It's like,
mm-hmm,
why don't you sit down and figure out how to move as a whole unit, as a single organism, which would be basically God, but instead we run as if we're individuals, which we are, because
mm-hmm,
I think prior in one of our podcasts, I said that we are God's. God lives through us as imperfections. He sees through us, he or she sees through us how not perfect things are. Like God itself is perfect, perfection and love
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
light. But as individuals, as humans, we can share those characteristics, but we also have to do the flip side and show those negative characteristics and those imperfect characteristics. And
mm-hmm,
that just explains and shows that, like, even God trying to figure this out. Being
mm-hmm.
omnipotent is understanding, but God still is in attempts to figure out all walks of life because he not just only lives through us, lives through, animals, lives through nature,
Mm-hmm.
fuck it, he lives through shoes, you know.
Mhm. So one of the things that's so like you've talked about how you started your journey with your readings and things like that you're doing on your Instagram and things like that. And so what I've also started doing similarly, like timing wise, is I started doing the series on this book that I've been reading probably for,
Yeah.
I think my brother gave it to me in like 2003.
Okay.
And I've had it. That was back when he was like a consecrated like minister, like a lay minister, when he first went to Mexico. And
Hmm.
anyway, it was, or maybe it was anyway, whatever. It's been like 15 plus years. So the book is worn, it's weathered.
Hey,
I've
that
been through
shows
it a
you've
few
been reading it
times.
at
Yeah, I've
least.
been through it a few times. Yeah, but I haven't always like, I've only completed it because it's really easy to like get off your game and like miss a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then I'm like one of these weird people that like I'm too much of a completionist that I feel
Yeah.
like if I miss 2 days, I have to go back and catch up those 2 days. And then
Yeah.
it becomes like a 45-minute thing. And so then I don't have that 45 minutes a day. So then it's 3 days. Now I have to do an hour. And it just then it becomes like
It
this thing
just,
where I'm like,
accumulates
forget
over
it.
time.
And so then I'll skip like 2 months and I'll be like, you know what, I need to get into it anyway, but I'll just skip, I'll just forget those months. So like actually making it all the way through. So part of the reason why I started doing this series was to force myself to be accountable to everyone who I started
Yeah,
it with,
yeah,
that I
yeah.
would have to finish it. I would have to go through every single day and not miss a day. The other thing is, I think it's really useful and I think it's good stuff to share. But one of the things, it's interesting that you brought that up about, like how you were kind of referring to how God manifests Himself and those things. The thing from today was it says prepare the way of the Lord, because we're in Advent. Christmas is next
Right.
week, so it's a preparation for the coming of Jesus. And there's so many different things that represents. And one of the ways that I see that it's represented is in the preparation of the soul for grace and for God's love to enter into it. And I wanted to kind of touch on this because of what you said about a guy kind of working through stuff and figuring stuff out. I think it's
Hmm.
more of He has given us this full freedom,
Right.
and it's less him trying to figure out, and it's more him continuing to invite us to figure it out and us messing up the figuring it out. And then when we do figure stuff out, then that's where you see these little breakthroughs. So what it says is, love will fill the valley. So, if God is love, love will fill the valleys in my heart, those valleys being my deficiencies. Okay. And then my pride being like the mountains and hills, because it says the way that this thing, it says, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight his paths, every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be brought low. And what that means is the valleys are our deficiencies, and those mountains and hills are our pride, where we get too vain, too caught up in ourselves, and that is made low by humility. So
Hmm.
when love fills the valleys in my heart, but humility levels the mountains and the hills, now there is a clear path, a smooth path to my openness. And there's also, you clear space to make room for that to be a welcoming and inviting area. Because we talked about this when Vin Armani came on. I started paying attention to some of his stuff a little more intently. And then
Right.
they started that Royal Path podcast right after that with his priest and one of his friends. And his priest said something that really like hit me. He said, God is powerless before us. And like
Mm.
and it's like, wow, that's okay, hang on a second. But then when you really think about it, what God does is God makes himself powerless before us.
Right.
He
Right.
says, you have the full freedom to reject me, to ignore me. Now,
Hmm.
there's going to be some consequences to that, because your rejection and denial means that we are not united, because I will not force you to be united with me if you don't want to be. And so when you take it, and look at it that way, God makes himself powerless before us, because if he's not, then he's not waiting for our invitation.
Nope,
So
not
he's
at
already
all.
offered the invitation, and he's just waiting for us to reciprocate that invitation and actually make ourselves in alignment with his will. So I think that's more of it than him necessarily trying to figure stuff out, because that omnipotence and omniscience and everything
Well,
else kind of is constant, and we are the ones that are trying to figure out how to live our godly calling.
existence. Yeah, I
Hmm.
only rebut it into a certain degree, and I'm also looking. That
You doing
was
a reading right now? I
no,
got
no, no,
over
no.
to.
There's this
Oh, okay.
card that I
Mm.
wish. There's this card that I had that it kind of like pointed out something to me. And I don't find it. Oh the fuck well, but it's
Thank you, Marcus.
basically um where this guy, he created like condos and condominiums, and they're
Mm,
like, well, what about our roads? Where's our roads? And he
mm,
was like, nah, just plant the green grass around it, and they planted over the years, or not years, but over the time, people
Hmm.
walked and made their paths. And when people walked and made their paths, they then they added the roads. They're like, wait, hold on a second. Don't be too quick to implement
Hmm.
these 90-degree angles and stuff like that,
Figure out
because
the
if God,
paths people actually travel. Yeah. When you see
exactly.
it all the time, you've probably seen it at some of the stuff that you do for your work projects. I see it all the time in the plants that I go into. There'll be this 90-degree angle,
Hmm.
and there's grass in the 90, and
Yeah.
there's a worn path between,
Uh-huh.
you know, the hypotenuse
Yeah.
is a dirt path. And I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, maybe it should have just been
And
curved
it
right there.
reminds it implements that people are going to make their own path no matter what you
Hmm.
put in front of them. Now,
Hmm.
if they're rebellious, they're going to do it with a smile on their face, and then other people
Hmm.
just follow. But when it comes to God, and there's always direction, and there's different forms of direction. It's if somebody's enlightened enough and wants to be enlightened more to follow a different path or figure out how to construct certain things around those paths. Not everybody's willing to, uh, if you will, follow suit. Granted, the paths are already put there for you. Not everybody's
Hmm.
going to walk that path.
Right.
Somebody might just jaywalk. You feel me? And then I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm there. Like, but did you did you really follow what you need to? You can say that you're enlightened all you want, but do you follow that specific path towards enlightenment? Because it's already paved for you. It's
Hmm.
like trying to interpret a story 110 different times, but it's like the words are there for you,
Right.
and the words are there for you in multiple analysis. You can apply your analysis to those different uh, texts, but sometimes it's just clear cut, and cookie for an individual.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And well, and the other thing too that was kind of that was interesting. So I've always had this view of like heaven and hell and what that represents, and it's always been at odds with some of the stuff that I've been told growing up, by whether it's by teachers, even my parents, or other different authority figures, natural authority figures in my life, that I've never fully bought. I've never fully bought into this. And I know there's stuff in, there's all this biblical writing about, judgment and damnation, condemnation, and all these sorts of things.
Hmm.
But really, my interpretation has always been more of like this, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, that it's like adjoining rooms in a hotel
Yeah.
where there's two doors, and you have
Hmm.
like if me and you are next to each other, like you have to open your door and I have to open my door, because if
Facts.
you open your door, my door's closed and locked, you can't get into my room. That's how this shit's supposed to work. Because if you could get into my room, that'd be really creepy, because like what if I don't know you, and like we're not
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
cool
Nah.
like that,
We're not privy
but
to each other
but if
yet.
it's me, my wife, and my three kids, and we want the kids in one room and we want to be in another room, but we want to be able to, open the door and go back and forth when we want to, or whatever, on vacation or something, that's different than like, Jim Bob and his family coming in our room when we don't even know who they are. So if you think about it like those adjoining rooms, well, God is on the other side and his door's off the hinges.
Hmm.
He's always there inviting
Always.
us to be there,
Always.
and we are the ones opening and closing that door.
Yeah.
And so, but the way that Father Turbo, this is Vin or Cyprian's priest, the way that he described it, which like really blew me away, that it's actually like, wow, this is really deep, was he said, no, the fire of hell is the love of God. And he
Mm.
said, now if you think about it, he said, when my daughter when she's afraid at night or something like that, she hears something and she calls me into her room. I go in, I turn on the lights. The light gives her comfort, gives
Right.
her
Right.
a certain security. She can see things now. She can
It
see my
illuminates
face.
everything.
It sets her at ease and everything. But conversely, you take that to when either there's, let's say there's some, someone who's doing something evil. They want to do it in darkness. They want to do it in secret.
Yeah.
You turn the lights on them, like all these people that have been doing all this stuff for the last 2 years, you put the
Ooh,
lights on them, all of a sudden they want to scatter, they want to hide, they
like
want to duck,
cockroaches.
duck and duck. Right. Like rats, cockroaches, whatever. So what he was saying is that's what hell is like to when you are living in a way where you want to keep that door closed all the time. Any light that peeks through that door is you're trying to choke that light off. and
It's
and
like
so and so you if you imagine that light, that door opens up, that light might burn you. And
because
so
people
from
like to
that
hide their
standpoint,
skeletons.
it's not a bad damnation thing. It's just you don't want it and you can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But
No,
it's the love of God.
it's
So it's a whole different perspective for me.
no, and that perspective is very, very it's eye opening because
Hmm.
everybody just leaves it at oh well, hell's going to light you on fire. It's going to leave you a crisp. No, what you do in hell is you reanalyze all of the foul things that you've done,
Mm.
and you've had to relive and re-experience it through the other individual's eyes, viewpoint, or
Mm.
anything along that. So
Mm.
when
And
you
that's
do,
painful.
yeah,
That's painful.
it's
Yeah.
painful because
But
you
it's a good pain, like working out or something like that. It gets you.
it's a
It's like
necessity.
putting peroxide on a wound. Like it's
Yes,
got to happen.
yes. And what God does is when you feel pain, it's a necessity to let you know
Hmm.
that you're alive.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that necessity to know that you're alive, then you going through this walks of life, there's supposed to be a lot of harsh moments. There's supposed to be a lot of harsh moments. And
Hmm.
it's funny though, I did like a little thread with Sean earlier today where he highlights that I wake up every morning on Twitter and say I'm in this bitch doubt free.
That's right.
And he is like, well, okay, let's go through this thread. Like what is doubt? And doubt, I let me read it for verbatim. Let me read it for verbatim. But uh I got to give myself a pat on the back for this one because, like, I don't know how I pulled it out
That's
my
good.
ass, but I paused, but I did it. I did it. So, the only state of mind for a man of God is doubtlessness. And I'm going to get my man Nicco to help
Wait,
me
say
break
that
this
again.
down.
Say that one more time.
The only state of mind for a man of God is doubtlessness.
Mm.
I'm going to get my boy Nicco to help me figure this out. Nicco, it's been your daily affirmation that doubt no longer controls you. My first reaction to that was doubt. So I opened my
Mm.
mind to it. I now feel that doubt is optional. Let's discover why. I think the first step is to define it. So I was
Mm.
like, doubt is the Schmeagle that hides in the crevices of our brains.
Mm.
It is the little voice that screams loud enough in an attempt to demoralize our true values and input into this world. Doubt is the reason why I struggle with the word was for over an hour as a shorty. I wasn't, the greatest with spelling. Yeah, well, that's further down the line. Also, it's reoccurring memories of failures that bolster the voice as defense mechanism that's to protect us from hurt, to keep us
Hmm.
comfortable in our own little realm, like we don't live on a big ass space rock floating endlessly. And he is like, I agree. It's some kind of mechanism like fear. It might have value. It might also ruin your life. As a
Mm.
mechanism of the psyche, it cannot be eradicated. You must fear the lion. You must doubt your ability to fly. So how do we use this mechanism to our fear? And I was at breakfast and I was sitting down and I was like, hey, what the fuck? How is doubt any helpful? And
Mm.
then Eureka. One of the it's one of the biggest mechanisms and the best mechanisms to strengthen our minds. For it's like being the pilot that we deserve to be, opposed to the autopilot life and being a passenger. It's
Mm.
your own ship. Are you a single cell, or are you the single cells that create you, or are you the entire organism?
Mm.
So are you going to let those small little Useless things control you, such as the doubt of you being anything great in life, or the doubt of you being a good individual because you've had skeletons. Like I said, we're imperfect, perfect individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Our job isn't to be perfect, and our job is to shine the light and go through the hell that is
Mm-hmm.
called life and live the experiences. And it's all about how you perceive it. Individuals need doubt to, like sun needs moon. Like, if you don't have doubt to eradicate in your life, then
Mm.
it's like a black and white world. It's as if, like, it's discipline. You need discipline. You don't like discipline, but it's needed. Doubt is not wanted, but it's very rampant. And the people who defeat doubt are the most successful motherfuckers on this planet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the difference between like doubt and fear, like you described, is fear is the sort of thing that you recognize it. It's a not a chemical response that like sets off certain, your adrenal gland
Yeah,
responds. There's all these different things that kick off, that prepare you for what that confrontation may be, should that confrontation come.
yeah,
um so that can be, that's like a good thing in terms of like survival and all that stuff.
yeah,
But where doubt is good to have when you are, um vetting and filtering the world around you, other
right.
people, other different interactions, things like that. But self doubt, it can be, I don't know, I'm struggling to find it's not detrimental.
Detrimental. It
Like
can be.
it seems like it's only detrimental to self doubt. I don't even think that.
It's detrimental, but it's good to a
Yeah,
degree. It's like a small bit of doubt, because I also put.
as a thing to overcome, and that like you gain a certain level up when you pass through it. Yeah.
What it does is doubt pisses on your optimism, and you cannot be overly optimistic in this world.
Mm,
So what it does is it allows you to configure ways to create more solidified grandiose ideas from that doubt.
mm,
What
yeah.
doubt does is it allows you to actually configure. Okay, well, I gave this idea too much life, but it doesn't go A to Z. It goes A, F, and then Z. And
Hmm.
those parts that are missing don't have specific doubt where you need to overanalyze, not over, but just analyze the things
I got you. I got
that
you.
you,
Yeah. So
you
some
know.
some of it is like just helping you to like, okay, I came up to an obstacle. Let me figure out a way around it so that I can
Yes.
still make it to point F. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing too, with that whole thing about, um the love of God being that light, being that fire, is that you you ever been in an interaction with somebody, and there's this weird sort of prideful thing going on where you either, let's say you did something, you hurt somebody, and you
Mm-hmm.
apologize, and they want to keep rubbing it in your face, or they want to turn their back on you and make you keep begging for forgiveness, keep keep apologizing, keep going harder, deeper, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's almost like it's a way of like helping to sort of self-destruct the potential for reconciliation.
Yeah.
And it can be really, really frustrating to be on the other end. It's like, man, I'm like sincerely coming to you and saying like, look, I messed up and I'm really sorry, and I'm really going to try it not to do that again. And all you want to do is you want to run away, or make me feel like it's not my apology is not worthy enough or whatever. And
Right.
I'm actually being sincere. Like, I can understand if you like bullshit sniffed me not being sincere, but I'm legit
Right.
being sincere. So when you have that sort of stuff, it kind of resembles the way we orient ourselves towards God. Is like we see like, okay, um, I really don't want you to love me right now. I want you to
Yeah.
stay away because like
I
like
want
I'm
to go through
I'm
these self-destructing moments.
right. I'm mad at you, and so like sometimes when somebody's going through something or something like that, they and I can do it too sometimes, where like I'm going through something, and so my wife will just come over, and she's just coming over like, "Hey, what's wrong? What you go? Can I do anything?" And I'm like, "No, you can't do anything because you know what I mean." And so it's like all she's doing is she's just trying to outpour love, but because I'm so prideful, I can't even see it for what it
You don't
is,
want it.
and
You don't want
instead,
it
I
at
don't
this
want it.
moment in time.
Exactly, I don't want it, and so I want to shut that door off, and that light like
I
burns
know
me. It
exactly
hurts
what you're
me.
talking about. I
It's
know
just, and
exactly what
it's
you're
funny
talking
that you
about.
talked about the Smeagol, you talked about Gollum or whatever, because it's like how like it's like it burns us,
It
like it's
burns us. The
that
light,
kind of.
because the light is the truth. And
Hmm.
what the truth does is it illuminates everything, and the only place that it can go under the wrongs go underneath things is where light can't shine.
Hmm.
But there's only so long that light doesn't shine, because guess what? Even if it's illuminated lights from an LED, you still got the sun, and the sun travels all the
Hmm.
way around the
Hmm.
world. It
Hmm.
always finds a way to be brought to the
Hmm.
centerfold, um, and I use Smeagol specifically for that example of he always brought up the negative aspect when it came to Frodo in the ring. You
Hmm.
know, he always was in his
He
ear,
was the ultimate hater.
ultimate hater. And see, the thing is, with ultimate hate is the opposite of love. Therefore, there's no God shining or persisting in that
Hmm.
situation. And he allowed his inner demons to enact for him. He lived on
Hmm.
autopilot, when he
Hmm.
had his homie Sam being like, Frodo, no.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
he
and Sam's
never,
like being genuinely selfless and
yeah,
really wanting to be, wanting to be there for his friend, and to you know, basically he told him, he's like, "Look, I would, I'd go to hell and back for you." And then,
facts.
Smeagol's over there,
I fucked that
yeah, exactly, exactly.
nigga.
But the funny thing is that he's that way to himself too. Like I think he recognizes that in himself, because he's having that internal dialogue too, where there's still that little bit of like, good old innocent hobbit
Hmm.
that's trying to peek its way out, but
Attempting.
he's so ashamed of what he did that he can't forgive himself. He's
And
that perfect example of how we contort ourselves, and
exactly.
how we can like
Just
beat
keep
ourselves
going.
down by not
Yeah.
wanting to forgive ourselves or accept
And
forgiveness.
that's where,
He's a very much Judas type energy, where you look at like
mhm,
Peter and Judas, two different guys that had two completely different paths after their betrayal. So Peter betrayed Jesus too.
okay.
People don't really talk about Peter betraying Jesus, but
Elaborate upon that. I'm a little ignorant.
so Peter, when they all right, so Judas sells Jesus out, like literally sells him out
Yeah,
for 30
yeah,
pieces of
yeah.
silver, right? All right, has hands him off to get crucified. Well, as they're in the square, the night that he's undergoing trial and everything, yeah, at the I guess it was at the Sanhedrin or whatever, the people in the crowd are like, "Hey, you were with him, ain't you one of his dudes?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and he's like, "Nah, I don't know that fool." And Jesus had told him, he's like, "Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me three times." And he does. He denies him three times, and as soon as he does it, then the cock crows. He's like, "Oh damn, I did it." And so he like runs off. He runs off crying the same way that Judas did. Like they both kind of run off crying, like, "Oh
Hmm.
my God, what did I do?"
Right.
The difference is Judas can't live with himself.
Hmm.
Peter ends up like completely, turning himself around, and ends up being one of the martyrs who, like, he says, "I'm not even worthy of being crucified like Jesus. Hang me upside down."
Mm.
So it's a whole different type of energy that we can approach our own failure
Right.
with each
No,
other, with
hey,
with
that
God and
speaks
everything.
volume. That speaks volumes to
Hmm.
me in my car accident, because it's like when I got into the car accident and I woke up, my fucking uh my car's all crinkled. I start slapping my dashboard. I'm like, fuck. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
genuinely fucked at this moment. Um and over this whole entire weekend, I've been like doing my absolute best to woosah. Don't beat yourself up because not everything is love and light. Like my
Mm,
financials were looking good. I'm turning everything around, and then a slap in the back of the head saying, "Hey, Nick, this is real life, and not everything goes your way."
mm,
And instead of continually beating myself up, I'm like, I bet. So, how am I gonna make this money? How am I gonna make sure that I'm straight and I continue to strive with my head to the sky instead of my shoes?
mm,
Because something like this is a moment, and I put it in my tarot video. Like, even though there's harsh moments, we cannot continuously stomp ourselves out about it.
mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason to, because it's just a moment. It's not eternity.
Right.
Because if it was eternity, then I'd be still slamming back into those cars over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
feeling that guilt
Mm-hmm.
and all that other things. But instead, I'm here, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a great thing to recognize, like, yeah, shit happens, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And you can't control everything. And also, what the highlighted is, it tells me stop pushing myself to the degree where I
Mm,
burn out.
mm-hmm.
Learn to
Mm-hmm.
rest, learn to sit
Yep.
down,
Yep. Take care of yourself.
put
That's
your
right.
ego aside, because
Mm-hmm.
as I'm nodding out, I'm like, I can make it. I can make it. It is
Yeah,
like,
so let's bring our quote back up because this is perfect for this moment. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. Like sometimes we're so, because I do this a lot. I don't know how to say no. I take on way too many projects, way too
by
much
being
work,
Mr. Nice Guy.
and yeah, and then and what it is like I'm like no, but you know I I can see that this is good and I don't want it to fail. So let me try to
Yeah,
help
let me
support it.
extend.
Let me extend myself here and everything. And then I'm watching and and then one of my kids is like, "Oh, you got another thing? Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Damn. All
Damn.
right, let me
Yeah, yeah.
so like after this, we got it's all family stuff for like the next I don't know, day and a half or something like that.
It's
So
kind of weird though. Like, Christmas don't feel the same right now. Like, it, granted, like, I'm not the biggest, like, I fell off on the idea of like celebrating, and I don't
mhm,
take away from the joyous moments that these holidays bring,
mhm,
but it hasn't been necessarily the same. Granted, consistent change is the closest thing to perfection that you'll get,
mhm.
but
Yeah.
nostalgia, motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is a great thing, and you just want to keep reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. And therefore, if you don't change how you perceive things, and you just keep it, that's just like staying in a kid's mindset. We're too grown for this,
Yeah,
Get back.
and so I it's funny you say that because we just finished watching my boys had never seen Deck the Halls before. It's a great movie. I mean it's like a B movie, but it's one of these
Hey,
Christmas B
hey,
movies that's it's
I
really
already know.
funny. It's really funny and it's got a a solid little couple of messages kind of built in there. But basically it's Matthew Broderick is the guy who like runs Christmas in this little town. He's like their winter festival coordinator guy, chairman or whatever. And he's got all this stuff all scheduled. And what it is he's trying to build nostalgia for his kids and
Mm,
everything
mm,
through a program, but it becomes so robotic and programmed that like they're not even down with it and he's trying to force it. And so then the movie happens and anyway, I'll just leave it there. But I definitely recommend
not attempting to
recommend watching
impose
that one.
and
Yeah. So
continuously attempting to opposed to letting life be
hmm
live or let live.
hmm
Um, that's our flaw, though, as humans, is that since we manipulate the world around us, we're so caught up in, okay, well, we can manipulate life. That's
hmm
what the big boys with the old money, oh, we can
hmm
manipulate life. But,
Yeah.
that takes away the human aspect of letting life go on to be life. Like, shit's going to happen. You rebuild
hmm
from that moment. and you
They're coming to
stand.
get you, Nicco.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised I didn't
I
hear
muted my
more.
mic just to make sure that was a Chicago siren. It is.
Oh no, it's a
No, because it
Chicago
happens
siren.
over here too. Like it's we got shit like that going down over here. Sometimes we got people drag racing up and down the big
Oh,
2-lane
speaking
road,
of drag
4-lane road
racing,
over here.
what is it? There was something my homie posted on Instagram where there was like a whole bunch of Hellcats and Chargers and Challengers that just stopped in the middle of the highway and just held it up, and all you hear is
And then they were like, "Wow."
and that's all you heard. And I'm like, well, the people in the back can't control that, now can they?
Nope.
So
Oh,
live and let
damn,
live,
man.
and then just
Yeah.
be pissed off while you're behind the wheel.
It's crazy though when you think about it, that like that stuff. And I'm not trying to wish anything ill on anybody or anything like that, but
No.
you're just a regular man, just out there trying to work, trying to do too much, you know, and fell asleep, and you ended up, crumpled up, and now your money's messed up and everything,
I'm not
and
tripping
and
about that.
instead now you got these guys, they're out there drag racing. I see them all the time. Like I'll be on the interstate and there'll be like 3 cars and they'll be like vroom, 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 like through traffic. Everybody's going like 65 miles an hour. They're going like 90 to 100,
Yeah.
and they're just dipping in and out of everybody, and like they just they
The
always
kid
seem
part
to
of me
they always seem to
wants
make it somehow.
the kid part of me wants to have like those moments, but like I always wanted to like build my own car and just race it with some homies.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, but it's
not,
cool if everybody's
yeah,
down for the race, though.
but
Like
when
otherwise,
you're
it's
in
like starting
traffic,
a mosh pit in the line at Starbucks or something like that.
yeah,
Everybody in line at Starbucks isn't down to have a mosh pit right now. Like
yeah,
like,
that's true.
you can't just
That's
start busting
true.
people's lips. No, man, come on, it's lit. Let's go.
Yeah, not
But
everybody wants to be a part of your Need for Speed race. Okay.
right, exactly. Right. Well, because we've seen how those things. My boys used to play one of these NASCAR races or something like that. Games on PlayStation or whatever, and their favorite thing to do was to just, as soon as the race started, they would just sit there and they would wait in that spot,
What?
and then they would wait like off in the on the infield. And then as soon as they saw the cars coming, they just drive out into traffic and just cause like a 40-car pileup or something like that. And I'm like, man, y'all so stupid.
Thank God that's a
Oh,
game.
man.
Thank God that's a game.
Yeah, I know,
Because,
right?
like,
Right. Yeah, because it's not the sort of thing.
nah.
But it was just to see the way that the game physics and mechanics and everything kind
Yeah,
of
but at
simulated all that
least
stuff.
they're able to be like, okay, it's a race, but I don't have to be a part of this race. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I can appreciate their mental when it comes to, okay, well, I know how everybody's following suit, but I'm not going to follow suit. So you
Mm-hmm.
had some rebellious ones on your hands at the get go. So no, it's actually it was something on Twitter with my numerology group, and it was like getting real in depth with the spirituals, with the pokey pokes, and basically once you get this, you're not human no more to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what that does
You
is,
become a GMO.
yeah, a walking one, at
A
that.
walking genetically modified organism.
And what people are doing is that they're giving away their soul for a fabricated freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I kind of like recognize that, like I went to the movies with my cousins, and they got stuck up with it, and I see my cousin getting so geeked about Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up watching this kid, like I didn't watch him like I did my brothers, but like I grew up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back home, like there was a tweet that just.
By the way, don't spoil it because I'm going to see it tonight with my boys.
No.
All right. I'm just making sure.
Well, everybody.
Yeah. And I'm just making sure. Like we've been trying to avoid spoilers this whole time.
Oh yeah, I'm not a spoiling ass nigga. I hate people who do that. I want to be smacking people in the mouth when they do that. Like, who are you? Like, what right do you have to ruin my enjoyment? But
Yeah, like at this point, I'm not worried about spoiling Lost or Game of Thrones because, like, if you ain't seen it, like
that's
Game
your
of
fault.
Thrones ended like 3 years ago. Like, what are you doing? You know, like you got. It's
Oh,
not my job to keep you. But like, if it just came out 2 days ago, like, don't ruin
yeah.
that shit for
Close,
people.
close your mouth. Close your mouth.
Yeah,
Be cognitive
keep it
of
to
my
yourself.
feelings.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, um, coming back home, there was a tweet saying that basically they're going to be stuck in this third dimension, and
Mm,
not everybody is going to be able to elevate with us, and it hurts
mm,
so bad.
mm,
It hurts so bad because all my cousins do is represent love and light to their degrees, and they're my boys. I grew up with them, you know.
yeah.
And one another thing that I put out on Instagram, or not Instagram, but my Snapchat was that, and then my boy, he just told me he had to get it because he's got a son. He just got a new apartment, and he's got to make the bread. He's got to
Mm,
make the bread. Where did I put this? And it was a reoccurring thought because it hurts. Like this shit hurts. Like genuinely. I
yeah.
put realizing that you can't save everybody hurts really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing it's not your job to save anybody stings. Conceptualizing that everybody isn't meant to be saved is what saves you from a headache. Yet the choice to still reach out is what matters. To say the least, I got mad love for everybody, but I can't save everyone or anyone when I don't make sure that myself is secure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing too to keep in mind is just as a little nugget of hope. I know that because I know there's a lot of that sort of talk going around, especially in circles of the pure bloods, as we have come to call
As
ourselves
we're
in some
called.
circles. Yeah. But there's a lot of discussion in that. My wife will say some stuff like that every now and then about this is going to happen or that's going to happen, and I'm like, chill, like let's not
Focus
speak
on
let's not speak that sort of stuff into existence,
right.
that negative type stuff, because I want to remind everybody of something. All right, we're talking about the creator of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that the creator of the universe, this shit's irrevocable and that it can't be undone? For what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
let's think of some of the things that have that have happened. There are miraculous stories all over the world from people um, who have had
They got shot in the face with a
catastrophic
shotgun and
injuries.
still lived.
Yeah, catastrophic injuries. They've had serious diseases. They've had like their eyeballs taken out, their tongue cut out, and everything. And
Yeah.
you know, 3 weeks later, the shit's back, and like
Oh, and
people,
let's
nobody
let
can
let's do
explain
a
it. You know
shout
what I'm
out to
saying? Like,
Eliza for somebody who survived something such as
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So like
trafficking. Yeah,
nothing
yeah. There's
nothing's
all
impossible. Nothing's
nothing
impossible.
is irredeemable, and nothing
Yeah.
is impossible and irrevocable, and like whatever damage that has been that has been done. Excuse me, is still repairable. We're talking about the creator of the universe that we are trying to get to the point where we elevate and unite with, right?
Yeah. No, facts.
And that
Facts.
union is still always
Gonna be
possible
so much more
as
stronger
long
than
as we
what
are
separates.
are willing to enter into that. So I tend to yeah, I mean this world here is going to be hell in a lot of ways.
Oh, very, very
It still
soon.
already is. It already
Very, very
is.
soon.
Yeah.
Prediction: everybody, get your assets together that are tangible and not digital, because America is about to go through another Great Depression, numerologically speaking. Um,
Mm.
because oh, and Bitcoin's gonna take a whopping. So, if I were y'all, heed my words. Nah, but
All right. So another buying opportunity. Is that what you're telling me?
not through Bitcoin though. Not through
Oh,
Bitcoin.
okay.
But another thing is wild idea, wild concept. I think that even though things are altered amongst the individual, the best way to possibly heal things, or not heal, wow, to take care of certain ailments is through certain frequencies of sound. And I was
Mm.
possibly thinking that there could be some configuration of a tool that vibrates because everything runs on a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
There was this book that I was reading dealing with astrology and health related things, where I found out the cancer was cured back in the 1930s, but you know, um, people won't accept that because the pharmaceutical companies are they're true healers out here. Um, but they basically used not just sound, but it was something that vibrates, and it was able to repair certain things amongst individuals, and it's a lot of things that were started with the brain. So I
Mm-hmm.
honestly believe if there's something that we could do for the brain. Now, granted, I'm no scientist, but that's what air signs are for thinking, and we just leave the people who do the tinkering with the real tinkering. But I
Yeah.
honestly believe that there's ways to repair it. Like nothing's irreparable.
Mm-hmm.
Volcanoes erupt for a reason, and through that eruption, you get obsidian, you get stone, you get more land that is around,
Mm-hmm.
and so destruction is necessary for recreation. That's what the
Mm-hmm.
death card represents. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about
uh,
that today on your on one of your streams I saw
yeah,
before we
I have
came
to
on
figure out a better way of like
that
putting out.
cyclical birth, death, rebirth,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the journey in between. Um, to, Marcus, Marcus is stupid, man. I'm not putting that up there, Marcus. We're trying to run a nice, wholesome show about God and everything. What the hell? We'll do it next. Yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious.
he's an
Yeah,
idiot.
he would have said it on
This is why
stream
you got
anyway. So
fired.
yeah, he would have said it
This
on
is why Marcus
stream.
got fired from the show.
And he went to go join the Communist Party. Remember?
I remember that now. No, but that is it's a really it's something for everybody to keep in mind is that like the nature of nature is growth and expansion, and the way that happens, just like building muscle when you work out or anything like that, it it has to be broken down, and then
Hmm.
when it rebuilds, that's how it continues to build that mass. it's
Exactly.
it's breaking down all those connections and then reconnecting and making building new tissue that's
Hold
stronger
on.
and
Can we?
has
Can we?
more blood flow.
I'm
Turn on your deal.
confused. Um,
What?
I've noticed Gene Nicholson puts Vark Tech.
I don't know what that means.
I'm highly like. Could you elaborate upon that in the comments? Because this I've seen this way too many times, and I've been quiet about it. And it's not like I'm coming at you with the bow and arrow like an Apache, but
Yeah,
like
no, but it would
I'm
be interesting to yeah, because it's I
I'm
don't know, like
inquisitive.
there are some occasional I've seen stuff with like different comments and other things where it's like spam stuff or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's an
Hey,
interesting
if he's a bot
if it
and we're
means
doing something
something.
good,
Yeah, if it means something, then I'd like to know what it means. If it doesn't mean anything, and
moderators
it's
hit
just
that block.
bot type stuff, yeah, we need to hit the block. But no. So all right, so let's go back to that conversation that you and I had way back when. So we
Hmm.
met through the Hotep Nation. Back then, it was Telegram. That was before they
Yeah.
did the Discord. And you used to you would always
Oh,
get up in the morning and say,
it's a
"Grand Rising, you sexy motherfuckers."
yeah, because everybody got to feel sexy, unless you're
That's right.
obese. There's
That's right.
nothing wrong with being obese, but it's like we glorify the things that shouldn't be glorified. So fuck all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. We're not going to glorify unhealthiness. We want everybody to be um,
optimum
living their best life
individuals.
and their optimum health, so that you can outrun the zombies or whatever else is coming.
Yeah, no.
And not be
Well,
as delectable to their eyes.
yeah, you feel me? But
Yeah.
going back to it, yeah, no, I would like to start off the day with, giving everybody a little chuckle, a chuckle and a
Hmm.
warmth feeling so that they can remind themselves not only does their mama get to call them beautiful, but I'll call you beautiful too.
That's right. That's right. So we link up. We start talking on the phone and everything, and the conversation goes all over the place, sort of similar to where we've been tonight
Yeah.
on this show. And we were talking. I was like, "Oh, damn, man, you should have," because you were talking about that show that Marcus and I did
Oh yeah. No,
like the
that
week
was dope.
before that, and And I was like, oh yeah, well you should have been there for Marcus and I talked for like 2 hours afterwards, and we were talking about voodoo and Catholicism and Christianity and God and spirituality and all this stuff. Because what we had been doing up to that point is all we were doing was Marcus would read an article, and we'd go through, and like every now and then we'd jump in and be like, oh, this is bullshit because of this, and and so we've even completely like scrapped that whole approach, which it wouldn't be a terrible thing for us to redo every
No,
now and
that
then
would actually
if
be
there's a
dope.
big story, like break down an article and go in and like each of us, like, because as you read through something, a lot of times it's really cool to see like the different lights that go off for people,
Hmm.
and so but that's what we were doing. He would read an article, and I would interrupt him and say something about it, or he would stop himself and say, "No, let me say something about this right here," and he'd do voodoo Santa Claus, um, I don't know, like
I
tech
think we should
mode.
change his name to
Um,
that officially. Can we
yeah, for sure,
document
right,
that?
right. But he would go through the article like that, and so then all we were doing was we were talking about like government stuff, or the financial system, Bitcoin. That was kind of the path of the show, and we hadn't even touched on the spirituality stuff at all.
Hmm.
The two of us, and we get off we stopped recording the Zoom because back then we were just uploading Zoom calls,
Right.
um, and we just start talking, and I don't even remember how it came up, but somehow we ended up on the subject of like spirituality, religion, faith, all that sort of stuff, and we just went off, and we like it was like we found a groove. We just kept talking, talking, talking. And so, like 2.5 hours later, we're still on there. We're like, damn, we should have recorded this. And so, what we decided then was like, nah, this needs to just be part of the deal. And he was like, that was kind of my intention anyway. That's why I have like the different symbology that I have, with the show and everything. And I was like, bet, let's do it. Don't get arrested, Nicco. But anyway,
Try
so
my
we start.
best.
So we're talking about that, and I'm telling you, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Y'all talked about voodoo. My
Haitian.
family's Haitian, so I was like, well, damn, you want to come on and talk about voodoo? And you're like, well, I don't know that much. Sounds like Marcus might know more about voodoo than I do. So I would actually like to, pick Marcus's brain on some stuff. I'm like, well, come on the show and pick his brain about it. Because back then I think we had like 70 subscribers or something like that.
That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah,
You
it
made
was,
leaps. You
yeah,
made
yeah.
leaps.
Well, and it's we have a 3-man team. I think we're stronger as a 3-man team.
Well, the most
Not that
solidified
me and
base
you
is
aren't
three.
kicking ass right now without Marcus, but it's better. It's definitely better with Marcus.
His
He's
input is so much more
yeah,
valuable than it not being here.
yeah, for sure.
And
And
why do you think Egyptians made pyramids out of three instead of four? Three
hey, there
base
you go.
instead of
Yeah,
four. Come
yeah.
on now.
Try to stand on a 2-legged stool, fool. Guaranteed to fall. But and then that's why when we have guests on, it's a 4-legged stool and it's even stronger. So
Mm,
and that's kind of how we've built what we've built. But we started off on this path of like solution based thinking, and like dealing with all this stuff through like a way of navigating what we saw that was kind of being done to humanity, and
mhm.
how we can insulate ourselves from it, and bring some other people along to help fortify what we're trying to build,
Right.
and help them build their thing too, because that's important too. Is like you said,
Building
we're
bridges.
all cells in this big organism,
Hmm.
but we can't just be like, no, you come help us build our thing, and forget your thing. No, like let's make it to where I build my thing, you build your thing, and we'll help each other out, and that way both of our things will be stronger,
Yeah.
and they can
No,
work together.
you need something such as that so that you know when it's one and two. One is male, two is female, but it's ultimately to add up to three, which is
Hmm.
creativity in children. You know, you
Hmm.
can keep a family by like two
Hmm.
people, cool, but like,
Hmm.
where does that go? You know,
That's
when you
the
can
that's living the Trinity. So the
exactly.
Trinity is, you've got God the Father, then you've got God the Son, and then God the Holy Spirit is actually the mutual exchange of love between
Hmm.
and it's a third person that is just
Yeah.
born out of the. So when we live that, look at humanity. A husband and a wife get together, and
You know,
the
the
mutual
birds and the
exchange
bees
of their
talk.
love, yeah, the mutual exchange of their love becomes a whole other person.
Exactly.
But that is it's an integral part, an indispensable part of that family then at that point.
Hmm.
So
And it's
so it's
always what adds. It adds so that
absolutely.
there's growth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
God
Mm-hmm.
God wouldn't be like, okay, one and two, have fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly right. Or one and zero, even worse. Like there's so much of this binary thinking where people are like living in code land, and it's like, man, there's no
it's
life
kind of
there.
irritating though, because
Yeah.
with the binary thinking, even though it's singular or
Mm-hmm.
biased too, but like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, biased too. You know, people love to add their input as if their input and opinion is fact. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that you want to speak for everything that you believe in, but propaganda real out here, and even in nature. Facades are
Mm-hmm.
real out here.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to believe that our voice is more powerful than what has been set in precedent is highly ignorant upon our species.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate, but let me not trail off and let's continue about this talk that look, I'll yank this
No, it's
mother
all good. It's all
in a
good.
whole
It's all
other
good.
direction.
We're just reliving that conversation in a way.
Yeah, no, we
So
are actually. And as individuals who still follow amongst an order
mm-hmm.
and do not try to add um, any more to that order than what's already needed, because it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And too many people believe that they can fix a system that was never broken. When you start off in a broken system, sure, that's why, revolutions are started.
Mm-hmm.
But we're spiraling up and down. There's two ways to this, because the spiral always starts at the top and goes down to the middle. But
Yeah.
guess what? It has to spiral out. Polarity is a beautiful thing. And we are very, very, how do you put it, fortunate into not getting caught up in the spiral out downwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I could say it's a headache,
Mm-hmm.
but who am I? We all are individuals who were brought here to live their individual lives and have and create something much more precious in value for society. Now, if we don't perceive it to be precious, doesn't mean that it's not precious.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it doesn't align with our values, and values
Mm-hmm.
are something that's very important to specific people. A lot more people are more free and open, but like I said, who the fuck am I? You
Yeah,
know,
but I think even I don't know. I think even people who have a very I don't know, moral relativist sort of approach to the world, they still hold certain things very, very dear in terms of what's right, what's wrong, what should be done, what should,
no, it's
that sort of thing. It's just they have their own morals that they're putting on stuff, and so like then it just becomes very um it's almost comical in a way, because I tend to I'm on a constant search for something concrete. And I think every human being, if you really think about it, like, we need to know that certain things are going to be there.
yeah,
And when things let us down, that has an impact on us. And the reason that has an impact on us is because the natural human desire, the natural human need is for there to be some sort of structure, order, something that we can rely on. So if everything was just completely random and chaotic all the time, and there was no, like, tomorrow the sun would be 9 billion, lumens or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so it may be less than what it actually, I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? They're like,
yeah,
if the
no,
shit was like if the shit was like 3 times brighter tomorrow, and then the
hmm
next day it didn't come on, the sun didn't come up for like 6 days straight, and then it would just like, it would be pink, and it would be like smoky.
Oh, that
You know what
fuck
I mean?
us
Like
all up.
it,
That
it,
fuck us
it
all
would
up.
it would mess everything up. Like we naturally tend towards what the order of the universe actually is. And yes,
Persistent form.
there are some random things within that, but even those random things follow a certain order. And so it's natural for human beings with a psyche, with a consciousness to seek an explanation for what that order has at its root so that
Right.
then we can start to understand it better. We want to
Right.
understand because if I can't
Nobody
tell,
wants to be ignorant.
yeah, well, like for instance, back in the old days before you started driving, um, you know, you didn't have a GPS to tell you where the traffic was. You just got on the road and then you got in the traffic and you're like, damn,
Damn.
seriously? And then, like, if you're lucky, you might have a radio station that you could listen to, but then you had to like not listen to your music you wanted to listen to. You had to listen to this radio station on
And
whatever,
record it.
traffic on the eights, and it would be 708, 738, 728, all this stuff. And so you would listen for when the traffic would be given out, and they might tell you some of it, but they wouldn't tell you every bit of it.
Right.
They'd be like, this road is backed up to here and this road's backed up to there, but they didn't tell you every single road like Google Maps does, or
Yeah.
whatever Waze
Yeah.
does. So if you think about it like that, all of these things are an attempt for us to better understand the universe so we can better predict what paths are going to get us where we want to go most efficiently.
Predictions bite people in the ass though, because it brings up
Hmm.
expectations, and expectations
Absolutely.
a killer. It's a
No,
fucking killer.
especially in relationships.
Ooh.
Expectation is probably one of the worst things that you can have in a relationship, because if you think about it, think about how much people like mutually kiss each other's asses when they first meet each other,
Yeah.
because you don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to come off as that asshole. You don't
That
want
you know
you
you
don't want
are.
you don't right. You don't want people to get the impression they're like, oh my gosh, he's already talking to me like this, and we just met each other. Like, what's it gonna be like when? And I'm like, no, the good news is this is just how it's going to be. It's not going to get any worse than this.
And if you like it, you love
Whereas,
it.
especially like in dating and stuff like that, like a lot of times you find
Oh
yourself,
man.
you're dating somebody or trying to date somebody, you're fronting, they're fronting, you're fronting against what they're fronting against what you're fronting. And like neither one of you is being real, and you're being fake to something fake.
That
And
cupcake
you
phase
don't
is a
really
murder.
know anything. So the faster you can cut to that chase, and those expectations can be better tempered to where they're more realistic, then
Well,
that disappointment and betrayal stuff doesn't rear its head as
overall
much.
expectation of, is we expect people to be authentic from the get-go.
Yeah,
Like, that is our
while
natural.
not being authentic.
While not being authentic, we show them like, oh well, this is our best. Like,
Right.
ooh, you like it, right?
But you better not change, because you're being
Yeah,
nice right now.
right. And so like the lack of like authenticity that happened in
Uh-huh.
relationships from the get-go, and
Mhm.
it's also been programmed. It's been heavily programmed into
Absolutely.
how we like mentally perceive what relationships are because of all the propaganda behind what love is and what we're told what love is, through movies and
Yeah.
you know, because like if you take in consideration, if you go back to the old like African ways, they weren't monogamous,
Mm.
and I perceive now. I'm not saying I'm polyamorous, and I'm much more of a monogamous being than polyamorous. But the thing is that when you are in a single relationship, and my cognitive understanding is that you become more possessive, a possessive and possibly jealous individual, because you're like, oh, this is mine, and you can't look at him, and she can't look at me. Like, eradicate all of that. And my understanding of not everybody being hoes out here, but my understanding of giving that idea away, the concept of being more open is a lot less heart aching than saying, yeah, this is mine. Because at the end of the day, everything dies. Sorry, but like everything goes at one point. You came in this by yourself and you're leaving it by yourself unless you had a freak accident. Um, and so it's very difficult to perceive relationships, especially now that a lot of girls out here are liberal, and they're a lot more open because
Hmm.
these liberal girls are some
Well, the
freaks.
the thing is though, I think what we've done that's been probably the most destructive, is less about that, because I think if you go back and look at a lot of that stuff, that was actually very patriarchal,
Hmm.
polygamy, you
Right?
know, or polyamory or whatever. It
Yeah.
was
Whatever. Whatever.
it was a king, you know, and he had his harem, and
Yeah.
that was kind of it. It wasn't, you wouldn't have now. Yeah, there were some stuff going on, some infidelity and things like that, but by and large, the king had multiple women. The women didn't have multiple dudes, because it all funneled back to like who's the head of this thing and who's going to provide
Yeah.
for all these kids and everything else that's going to come
But
from it.
it's been
What we have
ingrained
done,
into us.
yeah,
It's
but
been
what we've
ingrained.
done since then is we've taken it and we've said, okay, well, we're going to have this assumption of monogamy when we're
Mhm.
dating someone, but we are going to cut off, with birth control and all these other things, we're going to cut off the procreative part of it,
Yep.
and we're going to be lying and cheating on each other
Yeah.
in the background because of the birth control part of it. Because there's when you take that part out of it, now all of a sudden, back in the day, you're
One
talking
of the
about,
real reasons
if
why.
you did that stuff, you probably got somebody pregnant.
Yeah.
Like
I
you're
mean,
doing that,
even
and so
look.
you had to deal with like feeding those mouths and all that kind of stuff. And now it's just,
Some
we have
dude
this.
got bored with having so many kids. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna use a goat intestine." Nah, it's a very but it's been ingrained on how men want quantity and
Mm,
women want quality.
hmm.
It's like how we've. I just take it from the animal kingdom.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
that's absolutely what the alpha in the animal kingdom. The alpha gets all the chicks,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's pretty. And you somebody else might get some crumbs or something like that, but the bottom of the food chain, males get nothing,
Yeah.
because the females are selectively breeding them out of the species, because
Very
they
true.
want the species to survive. It's a natural drive for the species to survive. And I think, yeah, I think what we've done now is we've made it to where, um, through all this stuff, that the species is on life support, because we have emasculated men,
Yeah. Ooh,
and
viciously.
we have put women in a position where they have had to shoulder more of the load than they needed to, because a number of different reasons. Some of it has been, there's been some psyops. There's been some,
Yeah.
this stuff with like imprisoning and sending men off to war to die and stuff like that. That has harmed the males and made their virility being ripped out of the community and sent off
Hmm.
to distant places. And so then what you've had happen is you've had women have to step up into roles that they
And
shouldn't
be the
have to be.
more
And
leading and
right,
masculine figures.
right. And so what you've done then is, you've made for a lot of repair and a lot of healing that has to be done to get everybody back on the same page. and
But do
and
you
thankfully
see it
there's
happening?
some good examples out there that are still doing it right.
There's good examples, but do you see the restructure of how relationships should work? Because we still have condoms and birth control out here and
Hmm.
IUDs and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So it and another thing, one of the biggest things I've noticed is that we've taken away the sacredness of sex. It's just an
Hmm.
everyday thing now.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It's become, and that's why I go back to, like, Brave New World seems to me like the most uh logical. People like to bring up 1984 with Orwell as
Hmm.
a parallel to where we are or where we're going right now, and I see some of that with, like the spying on people and the
Yeah.
rewording of things and the truth manipulation. We're kind of doing both, but I think Brave New World is way more on the nose when it comes to like how the actual, because we're not doing this war stuff necessarily. like they do with in 1984, where it's like perpetual war, perpetual almost like Nazi Germany type stuff.
Well, it's
That
perpetual
sort of
war amongst the different groups of
yeah.
people
Well, it was like
that
we're always at war with Eurasia, and we were always at war with Eurasia, and like having to do all these things to feed the war effort. Where whereas Brave New World was, um, sex was purely for pleasure.
Mhm.
You didn't do it for procreation because that was done in a lab.
Right, right,
And
right, right, right. Yeah.
and you're always taking these pills. You took the soma and all this stuff. Like it was this,
Oh, yeah,
and it would
yeah, yeah,
numb
yeah.
you and all this stuff. Like it was
Hmm.
like there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh damn, this is
This is where we're headed.
kind of where
Hmm.
we're headed. That and like Demolition Man, where Demolition Man, same thing.
Dude, I was
You had to
about
put
to
the thing
mention that
on.
movie. Yeah,
You don't even have
yeah.
sex anymore. You don't
Actually,
touch each other.
it's
Then it's just a
also the
and look at
censorship.
the metaverse. Look at the metaverse where they're doing this stuff.
Man,
We're gonna have
man,
simulated sex. You're not even gonna have people touching each other
you
anymore.
can't you can't even be profane. Uh, You have been
Yeah.
issued one credit for profanity. Like,
Right, exactly. He uses that so you can go take a shit, so you can
yeah.
use the papers instead of wipe himself,
No,
whatever.
we use clams now. He didn't know how to use the
Yeah, exactly, right.
clam.
But that's so like if you think about it from that standpoint, what I want people to realize is that like the damage, it's not about some sort of puritanistic shame on sex or any of that kind
Right.
of stuff. This is about taking physical human contact and removing love, permanence, um, divinity,
Aspects of
and
God.
creation.
Aspect of God. And three, yeah, it's taking away what we would necessarily need to thrive as humanity and
Hmm.
the human race,
Yeah, and so when you take all those things and you pull all the God stuff out of it, what you're left with is GMO human beings that
robots.
you get stuff injected into you, and you know what I mean. You do all this other
But
stuff.
it's
Anyway,
crazy because
you were still onto something. I'm sorry,
you, Chad, you
you
know me
lost it
by
already.
now.
You already
You know
lost.
me by now.
I shouldn't have done that. My bad. Because I think
No,
you were
no.
onto something good too.
I think it was leading up. Oh, wait. And it's leading to where we have to separate because the purebloods are the only ones that can really recreate. And they've been pushing for transhumanism in so many different ways.
Hmm.
What they
Hmm.
get you doing is that, oh, well, you can change your gender now. And then if you can change your gender, you can implement things. And if you can
Hmm.
implement things, then you can create something ultimately that you would, oh, man, two white couple want a light skinned baby with blue eyes, super curly hair like a nigga, and that
Mm.
baby's going to be 6'4", Michael Jordan range, and it's
Hmm.
like God gave us lottery picks out here, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get lucky and you do your best to do with whatever you've been given.
Hmm. Well, the other
That's
thing too is that so much of this stuff has become so I don't know, hyper popularized,
yeah,
where if you're not the thing that can make you popular and famous, then somehow you're not worthy of being alive.
yeah.
You
It's
know,
the
like,
instant
and when you think about like
gratification.
the snowflake idea, it's so funny that they use the term snowflake for this demeaning term. Because
Hmm.
if you really think about snowflake, what is snowflake? What have we been told since we were kids about snowflakes? Snowflakes are every one of them is unique. There are no two snowflakes alike.
Oh yeah, yeah. That I remember
So what
that.
they've done instead is they've taken it and they've said if you're a snowflake, now you're weak, you melt easily, all this other kind of bullshit. They've given it a negative connotation. They've kind of done that Orwellian newspeak on the term snowflake. But when you
Mhm.
think about it, like, you know, God creates us the way that he creates us, and we all have you ever seen the guy who he has like no arms, no legs, and he goes around. He's giving these. He's got like the little Britney Spears microphone thing or whatever, and he gives all these like amazing motivational speeches and everything.
Actually, I
Real,
have. He's a short
real
dude, little
big
nut.
Christian,
Well,
yeah, real
yeah, no,
big
I've seen
Christian
him. Yeah, I've
speaker and
seen him.
everything. All right, so check it out. Why if he can be who he is, doing
Mhm.
all that stuff with no arms and legs, why can't anyone else be anything? And it doesn't matter if you aren't 6'4", blue eyes, blonde hair,
It's
dunking like
using your
Jordan, and all this
strengths.
stuff.
It's using your strengths
Do
and
what
it's to
do
multiply.
what you are made for. Do what you were
Hmm.
created for.
Hmm.
Don't worry about what somebody else was created for. Stop comparing yourself to other people.
Well,
Compare yourself to who you were
the
yesterday and
comparison
be
game
better.
has been hyperinflated due to social media, and
Absolutely.
it's been something that's demoralized the true meaning of being an individual, because now everybody wants to follow a trend, and then there are those trendsetters out there who are the unique ones and ahead of the game, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day they're still setting trends for people to follow instead of imploring, hey, why don't you uh why don't you allow yourself to create the idea, or amplify your strength? Why don't you allow that to happen, opposed to saying, man, the cinnamon challenge bussin', let me record me dying over some fucking
Dying,
cinnamon.
right.
Look, my
For
little
for
brother's like
15 seconds of fame.
for 15 seconds of fame and ultimately fucking yourself up. Man, I remember what, back in high school, like right when I got out, uh, and there was something, the kids lined up like a soul train, but instead they filled their book bags with books, and people had to run through it, that little soul train, and people were just hauling their book
Beaten.
bags, getting beaten, mauled and stuff.
Like getting
And it's
jumped in.
like, do y'all like enjoy, like, does this little dopamine rush, does that
Yeah.
give you a sense of satisfaction when you come at home to your mama with a broken tooth and like a
Mhm.
dislocated shoulder, and like then your mama get mad at you for being, Billy, you're so stupid? Like, why would you follow into
Mhm.
the trap that is only a funnel to more stupidity?
Mhm.
Like, I can't say I'm not surprised, because we get entertained very easily.
Mhm.
Like, and if you go back into the olden days, kids used their fingers to play fight. Now they're stuck on their tablets. You
Mhm.
know, I can happily say that I was one of those kids to use their fingers to play fight. So, and my imagination was kicking, baby. So
Yeah.
it's something that, like, my little sister got her tablet revoked from her because her mom was like, hey, young lad, you need to use your brain a little bit more. Stop
Mhm.
being like so salute. Stop being
What's
so
up, Cannon?
ingrained into these fallacies.
Yeah.
That's and it's something that like really, really captures the world, is
Mhm.
the theater that is put on prior to us and for us to see. When people are so ingrained into the theater, that's when they want to be celebrities. But celebrities hate their lives. Actually,
Yeah. No, that's what you were talking about when we had Vin on. Was like
yeah,
this, they're trying to your popularity is like is the new privacy.
yeah.
Like you want to hide from that shit now. You don't. The people
And
who are popular don't want to be.
no, they don't.
They
And
can't go
they
to the store. They
recognize
can't do anything.
they
Yeah.
recognize that their lives are gone. And so now that
Yeah.
everybody
Mhm.
seeks for popularity, you can't live your authentic life because you have to keep putting on a show.
Mhm.
And since you got to keep putting on that show, where's the true individual aspects that you were supposed to shine? Cool, you can sing. Cool, go ahead and sing. But
Mhm.
just understand that when you put in front of that limelight and your heart starts beating out of your chest because
Right.
now you have to keep up a certain persona when that wasn't you, that was just for the show. You
Right.
know, it's
Well, and
like,
the other thing too is Jordan Peterson talked about this in I think it was in his 12 Rules for Life book or whatever, where he talked about how we've gone from it used to be okay if you were like living in a small town and you made your local basketball team and you played varsity basketball as a senior and maybe you finished second in district and won a playoff game or two and it's like, all right, I had a good. Now it's like if you don't make it to the NBA, you're a loser
yeah, and it's
or
like
something like that. It's like,
that's not for
damn, man.
everybody.
Like,
That's not for everybody. And
Right. No, it's like
it's
the 1 millionth of a % of people get to that level.
now I will say I was, on my little uh profile for Twitter, I'm
Hmm.
followed by a couple of blue checks, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm doing something. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like they're just another same individual, such as myself,
Hmm.
that just have a few more accomplishments.
Hmm.
And those few accomplishments reach thousands of people, but that doesn't mean that we're supposed to reach thousands of people. Our memory index
Right.
isn't even built for that. You know,
Hmm.
we can memorize a Bible, cool, but
Right.
you're supposed to also memorize other people and their traits, but you're not supposed to memorize millions and millions of people. That's why
Hmm.
Justin Bieber weird. That's why
Yeah.
like all these kids that grew up, they don't know how to function because they weren't able to really have real conversations
Hmm.
and
And it goes
experiences.
back to that localization type thing that we've always talked about. The people in your community, if you're not connecting with them, you're not like, and we talked about, like, after we get off here, we're going to church with the family. We're going to see Spider-Man. After that, we're going to do some stuff together as a family. And like tomorrow is going to be just us time. And a lot of this week is going to be that way. I've got a pretty light work week.
That's love.
And we're trying to keep it there because I think it's very easy for us to get overly consumed with that larger outside
The grander
world, and
scale
to,
of
and to
things.
let and to let us think that, like, that's the thing. But I go back to this thing when we bought this house. um we, well, when we first saw it, they had this thing hanging, framed on the wall that said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
Actual.
And there's so much, like, wisdom in that
Mm-hmm.
is it's such a simple saying, but it really is, in
It's
a
a
lot of ways, it's
challenge.
just that simple,
It's
and
a
it is
challenge.
challenging. Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
challenge
challenge.
because
Absolutely,
actually,
absolutely.
when right before my pops called me, he was like, check in sometimes. And it's like, it's not that I
I
don't love
feel you.
y'all. I be in my own little world. And
Hmm.
immediately I thought of, okay, well, why don't you call my brother all the time? Or like, why don't you take care of certain things all the time? But I have to say,
Hmm.
like, that's still not me. Like, I'm
Hmm.
still here, I'm still present, and I still do have to do much better of a job communicating and reaching out to the ones that I love because tomorrow's not promised.
Yep. Yep.
And being that individual that understands that, I have to take to a better degree of still showing my love and my gratitude towards the ones that precede me and still show me love for even all my accidents.
Hmm.
And it's hard. It's genuinely hard to be like, I love you, but I'm gonna point out all your mistakes. And it's so easy to do it. It's so
Right.
easy for a kid to be like, well, dad. But
Hmm.
he's living his life through what he perceives to be the best. That still doesn't
Hmm.
mean I can't show my love,
Right.
because it's so easy to go out, even though people in Chicago are sometimes assholes. I got a funny story. Um, it's a lot easier to be nicer to other people out in the streets than it is your family because it's
Mm.
like you have all the knowledge and all their mess ups, and it's like, okay, well, at family dinner we can be nice. Well, you have to be nice all times around of the year,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's kind of messed up because we've allowed holidays to be like either they're your best times or your worst times.
Right. And that's what's so funny about some of those movies, because it's exactly that. Like, they're trying, and then it, like, all goes to hell in a handbasket, and that's what makes it kind of funny, because everybody can relate to that stuff. Everybody can
Yeah.
relate to trying to make the most of it, but then also the chaos that is almost inevitable. Family drama, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
schedule conflicts and people butting heads and all this kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
it's funny that you bring that up, because that was actually the last thing I wanted us to go into. Just kind of let me in. I'll give you mine, after you go, but let me in. Give me a little window into the Augusta
Christmas.
family household, in this upcoming week. What's it going to be like, and what's the tradition typically?
Okay, so when I was a shorty, it's usually me and my brother and my sister. We go to our mom's house. She makes dinner. We open up our presents. We chop. We parlay. Then me and my brother go over to my dad's.
Mm.
For the past, I think 3 4 years, we've and this is even prior to us, but we have New Year's Eve over at my grandmother's house, and everybody comes in. Well, before our families, we don't have animosity, but now since families have grown, everybody's at their
Hmm.
respective households.
Yep. Yep.
Are we doing New Year's as well, or it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Christmas?
This
Okay,
whole this whole holiday
so
period.
then the immediate Agustav Raymonds, they come over and we're around celebrating it with our grandmother. And she gets to kick it and parlay. My grandfather's a little bit of a loner.
Mm.
Granted, they're separated, but there's still animosity built up between them. That's not my
Mm.
business, though. And then my aunt Sabine and her two boys and her husband goes over to her husband's house for Christmas Day. Me, I just be out here now. Like I just like if something's invited or brought up because we have our Christmas basically on Christmas Eve. Um, Christmas Eve, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and
There's a lot of
we
people who do that,
yeah,
especially if you
and
got like little kids or something. People want to do
mhm,
Christmas morning with the little kids at home where they can
yeah,
wake up and just do their thing. And
yeah,
I had to beat that through my parents' heads a few years back. I'm like, listen, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all offering, but we're not coming at 10 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning to your house. Like first of all, we've been up all night, and then
right,
like by the time we were
right.
done opening, I'm not telling the kids. First of all, I'm probably taking a nap while they play with shit.
You
Um,
feel me?
Second of all, I'm not telling them like, hey, hope that was fun. Now put all that shit up and we're leaving.
Yeah,
They're gonna be
yeah,
like, nah. So we just kind
yeah.
of said,
You
let's chill.
take away their
Look,
fun.
y'all are old. It's just two of y'all. Y'all don't have to bring anything. Just come on over whenever you want to and have a cup of
Yeah,
coffee. We can, you know
yeah,
what I mean? We can chop it up, eat some leftovers from the night before or whatever,
yeah.
shit like that.
It's
So
a
we kind of make it
New
chill.
Year's. New Year's. My aunt Foon, she has usually a Christmas celebration, but it's over at my aunt Sabine's house this year, where the whole family, gets together, and then we do our little countdown.
Mm.
But it, and if you are familiar with the Haitian culture, you always got to get you some good old soup jamu, and that's a good luck soup,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's
You
like
got cabbage and black eyed peas in there or something, and
it's cabbage, it's squash. Sometimes it's turkey or meat. It's usually a little spicy. Ooh, and then you get
okay,
cremas. And cremas is it's a Haitian liquor that's like eggnog but liquored up. And if you let that
okay,
mug sit any longer, it becomes the most potent alcohol on this planet. Um,
damn, okay.
yeah, nah, we know how to get
What's
down,
that
but we
soup
have
called again?
jamu.
Soup jamu.
Jamu. It starts with a J.
Jamu,
Yeah,
jamu. Okay, all right.
yeah, and um, yeah, no, it's overall a good time. We don't have beef. We play games. Christmas or not Christmas, New Year's. We usually get a big old bowl of charades. You start picking out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
That
we
sounds
we
like
get the
fun.
family culmination together.
Yeah.
Everybody's shooting the shit. Everybody's drunk. Everybody's happy.
That sounds like fun. That's awesome. Oh, Canon Hotep said he used to date a
Yeah,
Haitian chick.
you know about it. You know about it. Oh, they're crazy though. They're crazy.
Yeah,
They're crazy, but love, nothing but love. What about
yeah,
you, Pimpin?
for sure.
What's the
So our it's kind of evolved over time, and now that that my mother-in-law lives with us, that's even kind of adjusted a little bit because it's instead of us going to do something like we would go Christmas Eve at her house. We used to do
Mhm.
Christmas Eve at my parents' house, but then we kind of switched it around a while back. But basically, it's just whenever we can get everybody together because it's like I got my brother's married, and so we got to coordinate with like her family and like when they're gonna be able to come over, and then my sister, and she's got two daughters, but it's two different dads, and so like they might be, I think they've tried to coordinate it to where they're both the same week, every year, so that it alternates
Right.
evenly. Um, but but then then we've got our own family, and so we're typically more easy because it's just us living here with my mother-in-law, so we're more flexible on the schedule. But generally, it's somewhere Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas, we're gonna be at my mom and dad's house and just kind
Okay.
of hanging out. And it never used to be this way, but it became this way probably about 10 years ago, where it's a show up in pajamas and just chill.
Oh, that's love.
And we do like a breakfast,
Wait, is it
breakfast kind
matching
of thing.
pajamas? Is it matching
Huh?
pajamas? Are
No,
y'all
we're
like
not all.
cute?
It's not all
Yeah,
matching pajamas, but it's
yeah.
basically like, listen, the recipe for this gathering is chill, and if the pajamas don't tell you, I don't know what will. Like it's like we
Yeah,
didn't we got out of bed and got in the car, kind of thing. So
exactly, exactly.
it's not a
Do
dressy
y'all?
pajamas, all matching kind of bullshit or anything like that.
What do you guys do for like dinner? So like, I understand that like you guys chill. Do you guys chill together and make dinner, or is it
Yeah,
like you
well,
guys have
so
dinner at your
for
separate
that thing, it'll
households?
be like breakfast, and then there'll be like some other stuff, like different lunch and desserts type stuff and everything. It's just kind of it's just chill snacking, grazing kind of stuff and everything. Nothing super formal where we're sitting down for a formal dinner for that. But we will do like we it's not all the time, but we have done like a like formal dinner.
Hmm.
That used to be more of a thing of the past, but now it's to the point where there's so many kids and so much
Yeah.
chaos and all that stuff. It's just like, you know what? Look, let's just not have any illusions about trying to all sit down to dinner, and like, because then all that does is introduce stress. And so that was
Yeah,
one of the things I got to
yeah,
give credit to my parents. Like they were like, look, because my mom she's very, I don't know if you know the stories of like Mary and Martha in the Bible. Like Mary was just like sitting at Jesus's feet, like chilling with him at this party, and Martha's just like buzzing around like a busy bee and all this stuff.
mhm.
And Jesus was like, Mary chose the better part, because she chose to just live in the love, and you're over here like stressing out about all this
Yeah,
particulars and the logistics. And in a way, sometimes it's a necessity that you need to have certain things taken care of, but that's why we take care of all that stuff before, and everybody just comes over with like a dish or two, and we just chill and we open presents and all that kind of stuff.
that's love.
And yeah, so that's the thing. My dad sits on a chair, pretends to be Santa Claus. He doesn't get dressed up or anything, but he just, he puts on a hat. He puts a Santa hat on, and he,
Yeah, my uncle used to
you
do
bring
that.
him a present, and he's like, "Oh, this one's to so and so from so and so," and he hands him out and
Uh-huh.
does all that stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So that's that vibe. And then Christmas morning. Oh God.
Ooh, he
So
took a side,
my
everybody.
wife, my wife, my wife went to this thing a few years back. I don't know where the hell all these different people just like grifting. They're making these new Christmas traditions, like the Elf on the Shelf crap and all this. It's just like a new tradition for somebody to sell something to you is all it is. Well,
Yeah,
there's some thing now where like there's some yarn on a stick or something that you like. It's
that
called the
sounds
Christmas
complicated.
web.
You can
It's
stop
called
right
the
there.
Christmas web. Look, this shit pisses me off. I have to be quiet because I got to make
Yeah,
sure nobody hears me. No,
hey, I'm not.
but no, listen. So we have to go. There's one present that's tied to the end of this yarn. Okay, so you got to go tie that yarn around this present. Then you got to go wrap this thing all around the house in like this weird
Oh, and then you got to go
interconnected
find
web,
it.
and then you put that thing in their shoes. Okay, and then they get it, and they roll it up, and they work
Okay,
their
I was
way
about to say
around
who's cleaning it up.
like a maze. They work their way through. Yeah, okay, yeah. Who's cleaning it up? That's fine. Problem is, that's the last thing we do before we go to bed on Christmas Eve,
It's
and it
clean up.
is a nightmare. No, no, no. I'm
Oh
saying it's a
no, the
nightmare.
yarn. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because then after that, it's like, oh shit, I left my phone over there, and then you got to do like those damn little Mission Impossible
Ducking
laser
and
things. I'm
dive.
like ducking and yeah, going in and out because there's three of them, and they're
Hey,
all
look,
like.
I
One day I'm
go
gonna send you a
around.
picture. I'm gonna send you a picture what this shit looks like. It's
I go
insane.
around with some scissors. Sorry, sorry,
No, bro,
sorry.
ruin everything. So anyway, so I every time I do that, every time we do that, I just scoff at my wife the whole time while we're doing it. I'm like, this is all your fault. This is all 100% your
Yeah,
fault. The
no.
kids love it. The kids love it. It's like their favorite thing. They get up in the morning. That's the first thing that they do is they go around, spinning their little string to get back to their little present that's connected to it. But anyway,
That's a
so we
lovely
do that. Then we
thing.
do the rest of the stuff, and it's your standard Santa Clausy kind of day, and then we just kind of either we late in the evening, we'll go do something with my parents or something like that, or they'll come over and kind of hang out and we just kind of chill. This year, my little brother, he's got 3 little girls, and so they kind of want to stay. Now that my kids are older, my youngest one's 12, so my
Okay.
little brother has 3 little girls that are all like under 5 years old or 5 and
Oh,
under.
fun.
And so, yeah, so rather than them leave or do anything like that,
Oh, fuck,
what
Chad.
he's cooking gumbo. So we're gonna go over to his house on Saturday and eat gumbo. What's that?
Where y'all $5 at?
Oh shit, you
Where
forgot.
y'all
That's
five
right.
dollars at? Because right now the Patreon ain't got no love. And me, let me tell you.
He needs you to drop 500 in the kitty.
Oh
Uh,
man.
his
Nah,
his car looks like a Coke can that done been stepped on.
man, my back has been knotted. My hospital bills through the roof. I didn't go to the hospital. We all good. But nevertheless,
Thank
people,
God.
we have a Patreon full of
Mhm.
bright-minded individuals who
That's facts.
share their mental and established loves in different
Mhm.
aspects, in different categories,
Mhm.
and we just get smarter every day. Come on now, can I get a hallelujah?
Yes,
So,
indeed. So shout out to Daryl, shout out to Tim, shout out to
yes, sir.
Halima, Brody, Saul G. We had a new one last week. I can't remember. Marcus sent the name. It's some name I'm not familiar with. But
But
Dutch
we'll
just
get
joined.
familiar.
Yeah,
We'll get
Dutch just
familiar.
joined last
Yeah.
week.
Shouts out to the
Um,
patrons.
so yeah, talk to the patrons. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I don't think I did. I think I got everybody.
Please
But
show some
if I
love this
did,
holiday cheer. If you spent too much money on Christmas presents, I'm sorry for you, but we still would like $5. no, no, but
uh,
nonetheless, uh,
yeah. So we do that we do that string thing and we do all that stuff. And so this year we're going like the afternoon we're gonna go and just have a cup of gumbo with or a bowl of gumbo with my brother because my dad has like I mean his gumbo recipe is amazing and he handed it down to me and my brother and my
oh yeah.
brother my brother knocks it out of the park too. So when he said hey I'm making gumbo, I'm like count me in.
So wait,
It'll
you're
be a
not
little
saying yours
while.
is up to par? You're not up to par
No.
with
I'm
it?
just saying, like when he's no, I'm just saying if I don't have to make it,
Oh yeah,
and he's
no.
just saying
Say
come
less.
over and have gumbo,
Say
I'm
less.
like,
Say
all right,
less.
let's go.
I'll bring
I'm
some
there.
Tupperware over. I'll see you in a
That's
few.
right. That's right. That's right. How much
uh,
can I bring home with me? No, my wife right now is she's working on the sweet potato soup. It is soup night. The temperature we
ooh,
had a huge storm come through last night and a nice little whatchamacallit. Oh, it's Michael. Oh, that's who that okay. Well, shout out to Michael.
shouts
Okay.
out to Mike.
Yeah, okay. I thought he was just in there already and just finally started talking. Okay, so that's who the new patron was. Michael actually designed our website and everything. He's been contributing since the jump on this
Very much
thing. So
so.
so it just kind of flew under the radar for me. I didn't
Shouts out to
recognize
Mike.
the
Shouts out to
um yeah,
the man
shout to
behind the
Michael.
camera. You feel me?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, so that's kind of the deal there. We're doing we had a cold front come through, so it's like super chilly and so it's soup era down here. It's been
Hey,
hot
you
in
know what
Louisiana
though?
even up until now.
It's crazy. As you can see, I'm in Chicago, and
Hmm.
you don't see no white shit on the ground. I'm scared for my winter. Everybody pray for me
It's gonna be
because
brutal.
this winter's gonna whoop our ass through May, and it's not gonna be fun. So don't come to Chicago expecting you think you're gonna get a spring or a summer because it's not fixing to happen. It's
The White
not.
Sox and the Cubs are going to be having games suspended until July just so they can
Yes,
get them in without
yes, that's
snow.
that's what it's looking like.
Oh,
And
shit.
like the snow decides to come down tick, okay, ticker than a
Hmm.
cold bowl of porridge. So it's like it's not something that I'll be looking forward to. But if you got
Hmm.
snow, play in the snow for me because I don't play in the snow unless I'm going sledding or like having a snowball fight with the young lads. But other than that, fuck all that shit. Okay, I'd rather be in the Louisiana hot fronts or you know
Yeah, well, we
somewhere.
had it's a little chillier now and it's wet. That's the
Wait,
good thing about.
what's chili to you? What's
I
chili,
mean, it's
dog?
like it was like in the 40s this morning, so
Man, get that
it's not
shit
that
out of
cold.
here.
No, but here's the thing, though. Listen, all right. So I know you say that, and then people like to talk shit because I live down here and like I don't know what it's like to be up there.
I'm not
I have
saying you
spent
don't.
the last 2 years in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, okay?
Okay, yeah, no,
Farther
you
north
know
than
about
your
it.
ass is,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah,
And I
you
will
know
tell you
about it.
this, when I was up there, it was 7 below, and every drop of moisture was dry. It was either snow on the ground or it was like ice on the trees or whatever. There was no moisture in the air, okay? The later that week, a little warm front came through and it started raining and it got wet and it was like
Damn,
39 degrees.
damn,
It felt
damn,
a million times worse. And
damn.
that's how it feels down here. Like when it's in December,
Yeah,
it
when it's
rains the
cold and
whole
wet,
time. It
and yeah,
rains the whole time, and that
yeah,
shit
that ain't
cuts through
fun.
to your bones,
That
man.
shit ain't fun. That shit ain't
It's
fun.
terrible. I would much
Yeah.
rather it be 0 and snow and dry than it be. I mean, now granted, only for a few days because I am from Louisiana, so like I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like I can do that for a week or so up there, but I ain't trying to live in that for the whole time and have
Facts,
to go
facts.
shovel the
Hey,
driveway and the street
at
and
least
everything.
you
No,
built
no,
up some character while you out in
yeah,
them
that's
shitty
right.
weathers,
That's right.
you know.
That's
But
right. I was
um,
I saw about 3 black people the whole time I was up there.
more,
It was
more than likely, probably 2.5. Was he like? Were they all dark, or were they like? Were
no,
they
well,
light
so,
skinned in
so
it?
it was they weren't all together. So every time I saw one, it was like a black guy, and it was like, and he was pogging, and it was like in their little family, it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Where
That's usually how it goes. That's usually how
it
it
wasn't.
goes.
I never saw a family. It's the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is very white. I'll just say that, and it's not all snow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I can only imagine.
but no, so that's kind of the deal. Now, New Year's Eve is a whole different thing. My family never really had. I mean, we'd like watch the ball drop and shit like that, but we didn't have any like traditions or anything like that really. My wife's family though, Cubans, they got this shit where like when the ball drops and it hits, you have a minute to down 12 grapes. That's like their thing. Like everybody has their little bundle of grapes, and you gotta start popping grapes. You got to get all 12 of them down. Now it's supposed to be um, you're supposed to eat a grape on the dong of a clock, like a grandfather
Right.
clock at midnight. When it does the 12
Hmm.
dongs. Anyway, pause. I said dong too many times, but
Yeah.
anyway, so that's the tradition that I have adopted now. Has become part of
Well,
my
the reason
family.
why we celebrated over at my aunt's house is because that's Haitian Independence Day. So
Ah, yeah, there you go.
we freed
Okay,
ourselves from the French, and we are free. No, but
all right,
uh, I do have to drop this shameless plug in because I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but times is a little bit strange. And
drop it.
everybody, if you're interested in a little bit of tarot reading, and you don't have to be, you don't even have to align yourself with it. Not just me, but I know Marcus is a great reader as well.
Mm.
Hit up Wise Weirdo. I will be retweeting my stuff, and I'm most definitely doing specials for readings. And if not, I have an Instagram page where I've dropped all the air signs. I have more work to do, but if y'all are interested, hit your boy up. I'll hook you up. And I also got my numerology thing I can hook you up with. We'll just talk about it, DM me, and I'll most definitely have you like, oh shit, this nigga real. And
When you also
yes,
have the Instagram thing, the mon oncle or whatever, like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
So that Mononc
so whose
is
uncle
like,
are you?
I'm the uncle to these kids. The wisdom that I
Oh,
be dropping.
all right,
Okay.
okay, all right. I'm just all right.
Yeah,
Trying to
nah.
steal, trying to jump off Uncle Hotep's grift.
Hey, look, we grifting. It's Christmas season, baby.
That's
It's
right.
Christmas season. I need to pay for some gifts. My mom was like, "Where my gift at, baby?" I'm like, "Did you not? No, I got into a car accident. What you mean?"
Right.
So, nah,
It
but
was in the trunk.
yeah,
You see,
yeah,
I got
it's
a
in the
checking
trunk.
and a savings, and
The way it works. I can't even get my savings out until I donated like 12 pints of blood, and I gotta wait for each one of those to go through.
I donate plasma. Yeah, gotta wait for them to spin it through the centrifuge before they pay me.
Oh man!
Oh shoot,
But
man!
please
Make sure
go
you don't
show
got
me
the
love,
Omarion variant in there. Variant in
man.
there.
Right. You know, because he's making his way through like
Mm-hmm.
and transforming like a transformer.
Like a weak midget, but anyway,
But
he's doing his thing. So yeah, go hit Nicco up. He's got some abilities. He's a
I'm
he's a
fancy
sharp
with
cat.
it.
And
I'm fancy with it.
He's nice with it. So
So
but
all in
yeah, so that
all,
I mean that's pretty much it. That and fireworks.
yeah.
I burn some shit. You know, I
Oh
blow
yeah,
things up in the backyard.
you
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's
so
why. Remember, I invited you. You were supposed to come to the house. Both of the last two 4th of Julys. The first
no
one last year,
fourth.
you definitely were.
Well, I told you, the way that my credit card was set up was is that
I know.
I
Yeah, I
wasn't
know.
able.
You couldn't rent the car and all that
Yeah, and
stuff.
they're like, no, use a little Negro, and plus you need this much amount of money. And I'm like, I have this money. It's just
It
on
was
my
like
credit.
$300 to rent the car and $7,000 for the privilege of renting it. It's like
Yeah, and
what?
so I'm like, well, y'all just don't like my black ass at all now, do you? And so, but
Shit.
the
But
way
no,
that
yeah.
this,
So we do it up big. I got my neighbor right over here.
mhm.
He has these like little platforms that go out on the lake, and he like lights the
Oh,
shit. He like stands up and lights. It's like a good 45 minutes of like
oh,
shit
he got a
blowing up high
show.
in the sky. Yeah, it's a show.
That's
So
nice.
yeah,
That's
it's
nice.
very nice.
Well, hopefully, I'll be on a rooftop, being able to gaze.
Checking out
Uh,
some stuff out
yeah,
in
yeah. As long as the
downtown
wind
Chi-town.
don't snatch me and stuff like that. But other than that, everybody have a beautiful holiday, because I don't
Yes.
know what the hell y'all celebrate out here. But have
I'll say
time.
Merry Christmas. I see. I've never understood. Like, if somebody told me Happy Hanukkah, Chad, I'd be like, you know what? I'm not Jewish, but dope. Thanks. I would never be like, I can't believe you said that. You
Yeah,
must
nah.
hate me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the most fucked up shit I've ever heard in my life. How come I can't say Merry Christmas? Like, what the
Hey,
hell? Like,
look,
where did this come
I'm
from? I don't
respective
understand.
of majority of everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I respect everybody's what is it? Their celebrations. Go
Yeah.
spend time with your loved ones. Go hug them tight.
Do
And
your
if you
thing.
haven't
Yeah.
hugged them tight, like I want them, like their face is purple. Not to kill them, but like hug them real tight. Show them that you love them. Um, and don't go breaking your back for stuff that don't work for you. So,
Mm.
I haven't always been the most fortunate child on Christmas. So I've shown my true appreciation and my love for my family. And that's what really matters. And not only take it to Christmas, take it past Christmas, take it
Yeah.
past the New Year, and bring it all the way 365. Unless it's a leap year, then it's 364. But other than that,
Sick.
show you
366.
366. My
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
There's an extra day in a leap year. Not
look,
one.
this calendar
Oh,
is fucked up and facadic, so it's like I don't care no more. Like, show your family love all years
all year
round,
round. That's right.
and get them a present, even if it's a macaroni necklace. Like, show them the love that you. Hey, I sit down. I had to go to 3 different stores to get 3 different macaroni boxes. Like, show them love, man. It doesn't matter how expensive you spent on it.
Show them the receipts too to prove it.
Yeah, show them the receipts. Hey, macaroni went up like $12. Like, this is crazy.
Joe Flation is a bitch. Oh shoot, man.
But
All right,
nonetheless,
bro.
I
No, we
love all
appreciate y'all
y'all, man.
coming through. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming through. We saw y'all, Natasha, Cannon, Hotep Dutch, obviously
Dutch.
Marcus. Marcus, we love you, man. Sorry you couldn't be here, but we will catch back up with you next time. Hilaway came through too. Donnie Smith came
Oh,
through. We
my
appreciate
boy
all y'all. Wasted
Jonesy.
Talent Podcast,
Jonesy.
Jonesy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jonesy came through. We had the whole crew coming through, and to all the folks who are going to listen to this on the playback, we appreciate you guys too for checking out the replay and sticking with us. Y'all hang in there, and as Marcus always says, stay free, my friends.